Now let's get down to some serious flower facts. A cherry blossom is the flower part of many trees in the genus Prunus. The flower itself is edible and is pickled and used in tea, but is deadly in large quantities, so you know, probably best to give it a miss. While the cherry blossom can be found all over the world, the Japanese cherry, or Sakura, is considered one of the national trees of Japan. Now there, don't say I don't teach you anything. Speaking of which, I'm Rob from JTRpodcast.com. I'm going to show you how to play Sakura. This is a game for 2 to 6 players, plays in about 40 minutes, is designed by Rainer Knizia and is published by Osprey Games. You're an artist following the Emperor around the garden, jostling for position with other artists. You're trying to be the closest to him when he visits the Sakura tree to gain the most prestige, but bump into him and you lose prestige and walk away in disgrace. After 3 trees, the artist with the most prestige wins. For setup, lay the board in the middle of the table of course, but before I begin I want to look at those bridges on the board. Each spot on the path is a space and each bridge has a number of spaces on it. In a 3 or 4 player game the whole bridge counts as 1 space. In a 5 to 6 player game there are 3 spaces each. Place the Emperor pawn on the dark starting space of the board. Each player chooses a painter pawn and they start behind the gate outside of the garden. It's worth noting that while the painters are on this space outside the garden, no one is considered to be ahead or behind anyone else. Each player also gets 5 reputation tokens matching the colour of their painter. Shuffle the deck of cards and deal 5 to each player and you're ready to start. Each player will simultaneously choose a card face down, everyone will reveal at the same time and the cards are resolved in number order from lowest to highest. Each card is resolved top to bottom and all moves must go their full value unless a painter reaches the Emperor or the Emperor reaches a Sakura tree. On the top row are the garden actions and the yellow boxes move the Emperor forward or backwards the number of spaces shown. The green box will move the painter closest to the Emperor 2 spaces backwards. The red box will move the painter furthest from the Emperor 2 spaces forward. When moving, only count empty spaces and skip over the other painters. The bottom boxes are the painter actions. The numbers simply move the active player's painter that many spaces either forward or backward depending on the card chosen. The arrows jump 1 space ahead of the painter in front of the active player's painter. If they're already the closest to the Emperor, they won't move at all. The plus pawn card will move the active player's painter 1 space forward per pawn between the painter and the Emperor. For example, there are 2 pawns between the pink player and the Emperor, so they will move forward 2 spaces. If a painter's next step will take them beyond the Emperor, instead they stop moving, discard a prestige token and move back 3 spaces in disgrace. If a painter would move off the path backwards, put them back in the starting area outside the gate. If the Emperor would move here, keep him on the last space on the board instead. Once all the players' cards have been activated, they're all discarded, everybody draws a new card and a new round is played. If the deck ever runs out, just reshuffle the discard pile into a new deck. When the Emperor hits a Sakura tree for the first time, resolve the current card and discard any other played but not yet activated cards. Players closest to the Emperor gain reputation equal to the score shown on the board. For example, for the first and second tree, the closest painter, in this case pink, will score 3 reputation. If you're playing with 5 or 6 players, use the 4th scoring space. After scoring, all painters move up behind the first painter in current order. And if that was the first or second tree, everyone draws a card and play continues. After the third and final tree is scored, which awards an extra reputation for being closest, the game ends and the player with the most reputation wins. In the case of a tie, the painter closest to the Emperor at the end of the game will win. And that's Sakura, an action programming game. Please like this video if you found it useful, share it to let others know about it and subscribe to the channel for more how to play videos as well as other board game related content. You can find me on Twitter at JTRpodcast or find my blog and podcast at jtrpodcast.com. I've been Rob aka Jesta ThaRogue and until next time keep on painting the Emperor looking at trees. That's just weird.